Hello and welcome to Lyme Life with Lizzie. I'm so excited to share my story and to be here and to provide a space for people with toxic mold illness and Lyme disease. Well, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease and toxic mold illness when I was 12, so 2013-ish. Yeah. Yes. So a long time ago, it was during my very formative years, and it was a really challenging thing. So I did not ever get bitten by a tick or get Lyme the traditional way. My mom actually was bitten by a tick, and then when she was pregnant with me, years later, it was transferred in utero to me. So in 2013, my family found toxic black mold in our house, and we had to emergency evacuate. And that compromised not only mine, but my sister's immune systems and brought up chronic conditions that we didn't even know we had. And that really kickstarted, not only did it change my life completely, but it sent me and my family on this very long journey. And well, the shortest version. Basically, we ended up moving into a hotel for, I think it was about 3 years. So it was, yeah, me and my sisters, 12, 10, and 5, and we were living in a hotel 30 minutes outside of the city, away from school, away from friends, anyone we knew. We went from having a big house with a yard, plenty of space to play, to a Courtyard Marriott hotel in the suburbs. And it was a huge adjustment. Not only that, but we literally left with our pajamas and our backpacks for school. Like, it was, when I say instant, like, we literally left with nothing else. And we thought we would be gone for maybe a week while we remediated, cleaned, whatnot. And it turned into years. And that was, it was just incredibly challenging in every way. It was socially isolating and challenging. I mean, how do you explain when you're 12 to your friends what's going on? Like, oh, why do I no longer live at home? Why can't my friends come over? Or why do I live in a hotel? No, it's not like the sweet life of Zach and Cody. That was the question I got the most. Was it, yeah, they're challenging questions to explain, especially when at the time I was still trying to understand what was going on, what was happening, because, I was going to my parents to ask these things, but they were navigating so much that on their own, also trying to learn, trying to understand, made much harder, right? When my mom was also sick, and that put a lot on my dad to, it's hard to explain to friends. And I ended up just saying, I was fine, or coming up with like portions of the truth, not intending to lie, obviously, but I didn't really know how to explain these things. And to be honest, it took me until the last few years for me to come to terms with a lot of this and to be able to articulate what was going on and come and really make peace with that. It did take me moving out of the country and living outside of the US for a long time to disconnect, to see things clearly. So yeah, all of that. So we're living in a hotel, we're commuting 30 minutes to school every day, and battling mystery symptoms, right? Like mystery illness symptoms. I remember at the time, so I, side tangent, went to performing arts school, which at the time there were two in the country, in Cincinnati, where I'm from, and in San Diego. And these were pre-professional programs. They were quite intense. Like, you had to audition to get into the school. You had a major, and I attended that school from age 10 on, through most of high school. And at the time, my major was dance. And I remember one of the things that was just, it was so hard to explain, was why I couldn't, like, what was going on with my body. I had so much pain, so much inflammation. My knees, I remember, like, I grew up horseback riding my entire life, something I love, love, love. And it hurt. Like, I did take a break from riding during that time, partially because I'm old, partially because of, schedule and time restrictions. But I had inflammation in my knees. I was 12, right? And I was told I had pre-arthritis, or I was like, I don't remember the specific term. And I didn't. It was all because of the mold and the Lyme, the inflammation. It was just so bad. I would get sometimes nosebleeds randomly before school, and I didn't understand why. And, nosebleeds, right? It happens sometimes. No, this would happen for me all the time. I want to say once a week, maybe, potentially more. And these would last for not like a few minutes. These would last for hours. And it was like, I would like, sorry if this is gross, if you don't like talking about blood, but it would just, it would be like gushing, like too much blood. It was a lot. And then, yeah, I remember experiencing brain fog. I remember experiencing nerve pain. Like, sometimes my arms would go numb, or my legs would go numb, or I like couldn't feel parts of my body correctly, and I didn't know how to describe it other than it was like tingly or felt weird. But it was, now I learned from mold. And yeah, at the time, so I was a dance major. I broke my ankle, and dancing, it was a whole thing. It was a stress reaction, so it wasn't even a full stress fracture in my foot, but something that should have taken like 6 to 8 weeks to heal took me almost a year to heal because of the inflammation in my body, and that's how I was reacting to these chronic conditions. But I remember that was just, it was so hard to explain, and I couldn't articulate that into the faculty, to my dance teachers, until after the fact. I actually ended up switching schools, not entirely because of this, but that played a factor, because I was just injuring myself. I would rest and I couldn't heal. So fast forward to the summer, 3 years later. Yeah, 3 years later, my mom, she did so much research, and at the time there really were not many specialists in the country, let alone available. So, like I said, I'm from Ohio, and there was, I think, one doctor in Chicago, who was certified in Schumacher protocol, for treating mold illness. And I don't remember why we didn't go to him. I think honestly he wasn't available, or we couldn't get in to see him. And so the other option was a doctor in California. So the summer I had my temps. That is how I got my hours in. My mom and my sisters, we packed up her little Prius, and we literally drove across the country to California to see this doctor. My dad stayed because he had work, He was the one paying for this. So yeah, we road tripped across the country. I was splitting the drive with my mom. So definitely got my 30 hours in of practice. And I know we were so excited to find a specialist. Hopes were high. It was, like, that was what we had like latched onto at this point in our journey, because we were like, all right, we've done the mold remediation in our house, we'd done so many things, and it just wasn't testing clean enough for us to be safe. So we went to California, we did this treatment, and we spent the summer in California, because we were all in school in Ohio, so that was the time we could do it. And it was an intense program. And I mean, bless my mom, like, I know my sisters and I did not make it easy on her, because we were rebellious teenagers, or at least I was. and we were just in denial. Like, I didn't want to accept that this was true. Like, I didn't understand, why did I have to give up summer with my friends? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to drink these disgusting drinks? And like, I just felt terrible because I was sick. So everything, feels harder and worse. And you kind of get in that really negative mindset when you're feeling sick. So we did this program. I remember it was just, the diet alone was consuming, to say the least. And my mom did a great job. Like, she really was making us like these smoothies with all the supplements and the herbs that we needed. And this was on top of like what the doctor was recommending with like our cholestyramine and the medications and all of this, because that was a whole routine. So to give you a little insight into what that looks like, it was, again, this was so long ago, I don't remember the specifics, but with cholestyramine, that is one of the binders that you take. It is a pharmaceutical, and it helps bind the mold in your body and detox it, right? So that's great, but you can't have food in your system. So you're taking this medicine at the time. Now it's changed, or maybe my memory of it's changed, but I think it was like about an hour before food or 2 hours after food. So we had to be like on a very strict schedule of when we were eating, to make sure we're getting all that medication in, which, by the way, that medication, if you're not taking it properly or you're not easing into it because you have to like work up to the dosage, it will cause the most horrendous headaches in the world. They're like migraines, and it's because the inflammation in your brain, it's literally bruising your brain. So yeah, side tangent. If you're taking cholestyramine, go easy on yourself. If you're getting headaches, take like glutathione, whatever. Talk to your doctor about this. Like, don't just take my advice, but that's what helped me a lot with this. So anyway, we're taking cholestyramine. We had, I don't remember again what the specific diet was, but I know we couldn't have any sugar, of course. That's a huge inflammatory food. Definitely no gluten, no egg, no dairy, no corn, no oat or barley, because those are all the biggest inflammatory foods, especially if you have leaky gut, which goes hand in hand with mold illness and Lyme. But the sugar extended to natural sugar as well. So like even fruits, there were like certain things we couldn't have, which, right, like I just listed like kind of most of the categories of food. So it definitely left little to eat / definitely little to enjoy when it came to eating food. Needless to say, when we finished the protocol, we didn't finish. We went home and we were supposed to continue it on our own because we had to go back to school. We couldn't keep it up. It was so much. My mom was single-handedly doing this for me and my two sisters, all at different ages, all with different medications and different dietary needs. And she was doing it for herself as well. So a lot, right? And my dad, he's working the whole time during this, would support as much as he could, but he had a day job. Like, he wasn't around to do all of that. And thankfully my mom was. So we come back and we switch schools. I switched schools, which, in case I wasn't already having a hard time, like made it even harder. I had gone to this school, like I said, since I was 10. I was now 16. So for most of my growing up, that's where my best friends were. That was my community. But one, my ankle wasn't healing, and that made dance as my major pretty challenging. I could have switched back to another major that I really loved. I loved playing violin, but wasn't right at the time. And also there had been several mystery illness cases in the school, because there were two buildings. There was an old one, and then in recent years had switched to a newer building. And in that new building, while it was newer and modern and everything, I'm 99% sure there was mold, because there were too many mystery illnesses and just suspicious things. not only with myself or my sisters, but also with faculty and other students in the school. So for that reason, I switched schools to another good public high school, and it was great. Um, I made the most out of it, but I definitely rebelled. I was angry about it because I couldn't explain to my friends why I just left over the summer. I didn't know I was, like, when I left that year for the summer break, I didn't know I wasn't coming back. So not only had we lost our house in the last few years, but I also felt like I'd lost my friends and my school and had just been transplanted to this completely new environment where thankfully my elementary school friends went there. So, I'm really thankful for that, but it was still a challenging transition. I loved where I was. So, yeah, I pretty much rebelled, undid everything that we had worked so hard. Well, my mom had worked so hard for us to have, and I did a really good job, honestly, of ignoring my illnesses until college, and then I realized, okay, it's time. Like, this is not sustainable. The quality of my life is just like continuously going downhill. Like, I could tell the toll it was taking on my health. So I decided to see a functional medicine doctor who, thankfully, enough time had passed. There were more specialists in the area. So I found one in the same city as me. And while he was not certified in Schumacher protocol, he was quite knowledgeable in Lyme and mold illness. So I felt like the right next step. And he really showed me it's possible to go through treatment, heal, and adopt these lifestyle changes and make it a sustainable way. Like, he was the first doctor to not only believe my symptoms, and he didn't tell me I was crazy or I was making it up or I was being dramatic or, any of the things I'm sure if you're here have heard, but he asked me, well, how does this work for you? Like, I had a say in my treatment. I had a say in, if I wanted to do pharmaceuticals or natural medicine or I opted for a combination of both. Just that was my preference. I really did want natural, but of course I also wanted to get better. So if the natural wasn't working, like, I'll take the drugs. Um, anyway, he was a really incredible doctor who helped me get to a place where I did feel stable. I know I have more recovery and healing and all of that to do, but it got me to a much more manageable and healthy place that allowed me to move to Costa Rica, where honestly that was equally as healing in very different ways, but that taught me a lot about lifestyle, how you can slow down, and how much I needed that. Like, I've always been in very high performing environments. That's just the world I was born into, and I guess what I seek out. I don't know. But I have chronically been burnt out way too many times. And not only with health, but with school, with projects, creative work, you name it, whatever it is. I'm a pro at burning myself out, but also something I really want to stop doing. So in Costa Rica, I was able to learn the limits of my body now that I had healed a bit more, and learn, wow, when I slow down, when I rest, when I give myself what I need, when I learn what my body's asking and just respond to that, how much better my life is. And through that, I found, such incredible community and everything, but it's been a journey, and it still is. And there's so much I feel like to learn and to integrate and apply and all that. But all of that to say, that's why I started Lyme Life. I want this to be a space where people with chronic conditions, specifically mold or Lyme disease, really can come, and there's resources, community, hopefully some clarity and insight, and maybe some advice as far as, what works, what didn't for me, some practices for mental health, spiritual health, well-being, physical health, mold cleaning, whatever it might be. Food healing. Oh my gosh, yes. Something you'll learn about me. Food, it's a love language to myself. Yes, I just love food. So probably a lot of this will incorporate food. But I want to take all of the challenges and the journey and the the hardships that I went through and that my family went through, um, hopefully make it something accessible and helpful for others so you don't have to spend the time, the money, the hardships, all of that, to improve the quality of your life and to make some of these changes, because the goal should really definitely be healing, helping yourself, and these should be sustainable changes. Like, I don't want this to be something that feels more overwhelming or should add to your day. Not at all. I want this to be something that's like supplemental. So if you're working with a doctor and, after the call, they have this list, they always have a list of like, okay, here's the medication or here's the new protocol you're going to do. It's a lot, trust me. I want to be here to help you apply that to your life, because the doctors are so knowledgeable, the ones that do help in this space, but they don't always tell you how to apply that for you, how to make it work for you, right? And so there's so much guessing, and I guess, yeah, you feel kind of in the dark still. Even with the help, there's other areas of support I think that are needed. So I hope any of this or all of this can help someone in that journey. So please feel free, if you have questions, you have comments, if there's things that you want to know about or you just want to share, I'm all ears. Please tell me, because I'm here to help you, and I hope that me continuing to share some of this journey will resonate. So yeah, thank you, and stay tuned for more. I have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I cannot wait to share it. So follow on YouTube. I'm going to put this on Spotify, also on Instagram. So whatever your platform of choice is, just, I'll be there to, again, I want this to be accessible and easy for you. Like, you already have enough changes, enough newness, so this should not be a new habit that you need to incorporate, right? I want to make it as easy as possible. So thank you. Thank you, and I hope to see you on the next one.